follows, right? We talked about digital marketing, and if you don't remember these classes, they're all recorded in the YouTube channel. You can find them. So we talked about digital marketing and organic marketing, and what does organic marketing mean, right? So organic marketing is basically the free stuff. We're not talking about paid advertising. We're talking about social media, email marketing, that kind of stuff. Then we talked about what does it mean to have an attraction marketing funnel where people come to you and you're not looking for people to to service, whether you have a nonprofit, whether you are selling a product, whether you're selling a service. It's about how do people see you on social media so that let me,
Let me,
okay, I just muted them.
I'm so sorry to intervene. Let me mute everybody I forgot to do that. So
All right, perfect.
to
Thank you.
avoid the background noise. All right.
Sure. So we talked about what does that mean, right? So a lot of times when you're selling, people are skeptical because they don't want to make the first step. And a lot of times you don't have to. You can ask people, actually get people to come to you. And it's about how do you present yourself in the best way possible on social media and through email marketing and through blog posting and that kind of stuff. So people come to you and you don't have to spend money on advertising. So we talked about those things earlier, but just as a quick reminder for everybody, these are things that you can do on your spare time that don't take a long time to do. And it's all about being consistent with what it is that you are trying um, to sell, right? So how do you present yourself in the best way possible in a way that is not about sales, but about relationships, okay? So relationships is going to be one of the keywords, okay? And I'm going to be asking you a few things. You don't have to answer them in the chat. I just want you to start thinking about these things when you're actually building this system. So this is a quiet DM method. It's something that I came up with to kind of show you what does it mean to not have to be selling every single time, right? It's building a social media presence that gets you noticed without posting every day, okay? And it's about building that kind of presence, a strategic, low pressure, consistent enough that when someone is ready, they come to you. You're not going out of your way to get people to buy, okay? Excuse me. All right. So the quiet method is, and this session is really designed for students, so you guys, professionals or creatives who want to build a digital presence, right? That feels real, that feels authentic, that feels, it's about generating opportunities without becoming a full-time content creator, because I know it's impossible for a lot of you guys. You have your studies, you have your families. It's impossible for you to be filming yourself every single day. So you don't need to be loud to be powerful, okay? Most real opportunities happen quietly through saved posts, private replies, forwarded emails, okay? So this is about building that kind of presence, all right? And DM stands for direct message. So the DMs can be done via social media. They can be done via emails, okay? So we're going to briefly introduce this quiet DM method, okay? Then we're going to talk about what people actually do before they reach out to you. That's part one. Part two is, what is this quiet DM method? I'll give you some examples so that you understand it. And actually, I skipped a part in there. That's okay. Part four is going to be, and I can talk about part three, is about sticky social content, which is not in the slide, okay, which I will explain. Part four is emailing once a month and why it works. Part five is about referrals and what does that mean and why that works really well. And part six is about being quiet but strategic, okay, with your monthly visibility plan. Okay, so question for you guys, right? What do you do before you follow someone on social media, right? You kind of have this thought and you're thinking about, oh, this person is kind of cool. I like to follow them. And you might actually talk about and think about in your mind, you might see the last, 10 or 15 posts, right, that this person has posted. And for some reason, you have this silent evaluation because before you even connect with them, you want to make sure that this is somebody who you're actually going to want to hear from. So before someone works with you or refers you or wants to buy your product or your service, they also look you up, right? They scan your last few posts like you would scan their last few posts. They kind of want to know what your energy is like. They want to read your bio. Um, and they're asking, do I like their vibe? Do I trust them? Would I recommend them? But they won't always like or comment or follow you. Some will never engage publicly. And I can tell you about a story where I used to do one video per day on social media, okay? And I used to do one live per week a few years ago. And I can't begin to tell you how many people actually said, "Oh my God, I missed your live videos. I don't know why you don't do them anymore." But I never interacted with that person. I know this person in like real life, right? I never interacted with it, and these are a lot of people. This is not just one person. I never interacted with them. They never liked my posts. They never asked questions in the live, but they still remember that I was going live once a week for a whole year. And they still ask me things about my videos. So it's a very interesting situation where people think that nobody's watching. And nobody, it's not that nobody's watching, people are just not engaging, which there's a difference. And you don't know who's watching. You don't know if there's people that you know that you have on your social media just because you're friends with. And that's where you start. That's really all you need. You don't need to have millions of people following you. You only need one person to buy from you. Okay. And obviously, if you want to make more sales, you need more than one. But at the beginning, you only need one to validate what you're selling. So most people do not engage publicly. And a lot of people get discouraged when they start to post and they don't see a lot of numbers, a lot of views on their videos, where they don't even understand what happens with social media. And I'm going to give you some numbers, right? And I'm going to explain to you how the algorithm works. And as you can see in this little table right here, I just posted Instagram, but most of the social media platforms are very similar. When you post on social media, whether it's on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, or anywhere, or even X, and let's say you have 1,000 followers or subscribers, the percentage of people who actually see your content is from 2 to 6%. Okay. So if you post something, not a lot of people are going to see it. But who takes action? 1 to 2 people might send a DM, might like your post, or might do something with your content. Okay. And especially with DMs, if your call to action is to send a DM, only 1 to 2 people will actually do it. Now, why do I bring this up? Because in order for you to reach more people, then you need to post more. And it's not about quantity, it's about quality. But wait a second, isn't this about not posting every day, right? Like you're telling me that I don't need to post every day, and all of a sudden you're telling me that in order for people to see my stuff, that because only 2 to 6% of the people are going to see it, then I need to post more. Hold up. The reason why you need to post more is because you want things to be consistent, that you need to post more quality content. If that's once a week, that's once a week. But the reason why you don't need to post every day is because you're not going to be reliant on just one social media channel or one social media strategy. And that, my friends, is the difference. When you actually want people to reach out to you, and somebody else is talking here. When you actually want someone to work with you and you want to post them every single day, it's not about how many times you're posting. It's about how consistently you're posting and what you're posting. And it's about taking all of these different channels and working together so you don't have to post every day. Okay. So when an email is sent out, and this is talking about mass emails. So when you're building your list, that's why building your list, if you remember from the previous courses, building your list is one of the most important things that you can be doing, because if only 2 to 6% people of the people that are following you on Instagram or social media are seeing your content, well, emails, you get a lot more opens. you could get 30 to 50% open rates. And if your list health is not great, maybe you're going to get 10%, but that's still a lot better than 2 to 6%. So if you're sending it to 100 people, 30 people are opening it. And if your call to action is to reply, you're going to get 3 to 5. So that's the reason why it's so powerful to work with everything together, not just focusing on social media and posting every day. That's not going to get you anywhere. It's actually taking the emails that you're going to get from people who are following you and adding them to your emails. And something important is using your network, because I don't know how many people you have, but say for example you have a list of only 10 to 20 people that are following you, that are referring you, that you've actually connected in an interesting way on social media. And so that's why it's unknown how many followers and subscribers you have, unless you're actually taking count of how many people you have. But they're the ones who are always watching, but they might not always be connecting with you and engaging with you. And these are the people that you need to ask for referrals and for connections. So this little table right here, it's kind of like everything together. And this is why the quiet DM system works, because it's not just relying on one thing, and it's not about posting every single day. It's about being disciplined and consistent in all of the different platforms and all of the different ecosystems, let's say, that you can build with social media, email marketing, and network marketing. Okay. So I'm going to go into a lot more detail with the quiet DM method. But your question for this slide is, when's the last time that you reached out to someone because of something that they posted, even if you didn't comment or like it? So remember the story I told you about a friend of mine who told me, I saw them at my kids' gymnastic class, and they're like, oh, I haven't seen your video in a while. It's like, well, they're there. But they're actually reaching out because they remember that they've seen my content before. So think about it. People that you follow, people that are friends of yours, did you ever reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I really like the post that you posted the other day? Chances are not really, right? So this quiet DM method is a three-part presence system. First of all, you want to talk about the referral loop. People who talk about you. You want to be the one who's reaching out to them, who's asking questions, who's making the connections with people either on social media, on networking events, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you're always keeping that list fresh, because you want people to talk about what you have to say. Okay, so you don't need a huge following. You only need people who know you, and they want to talk to you, and they know that when you're not in the room, they're going to be referring you. So this is one of the top ways to sell things, because these are your biggest fans. And they might have come from social media, they might have come from an email that you sent, and you ask people to send it to their friends. This is one of the greatest things that you can do to build a fan base of 10 to 20 people and actually be involved. Ask them about what it is that they're doing on the weekend. Where are they going? What are some of the things that they can that you can learn from them? Make relationships. If you remember, the keyword in this whole thing is relationships, okay? Then the once a month email is a behind the scenes way to build trust and to stay top of mind. So once a month is the bare minimum. I like to email at least once a week, but if being consistent requires you to only be emailing once a month, then do that. You want to build trust. You want to stay top of mind with the people that are sending you their emails. And then the last thing is the sticky social content. It doesn't have to be constantly, but it needs to be quality. It needs to be memorable. And think of content that people save, that people share, or that they remember later, right? The best way to do this is to look at yourself and so when you look at yourself watching somebody else's content, what are some of the things that you ask? What are some of the things that you see yourself doing on a consistent basis when it comes to social media? Are you interested in let's say if you're interested in a specific market, do you like the videos of people showing you how to do something or telling you how to do something? think about how you watch content and how you engage with content. And that's really going to help you to understand how your content needs to be presented. And I think we went over in one of the last classes how to do that in more detail. But because this is more about building the relationship, once you share the content and once you have people who like it, comment, or send you a DM, continue the conversation. So what you want to do, this is a little pyramid, right? Where you start at the bottom with social media, then you get their email and you start emailing them at least once a month, right? And then you move up to the referral loop where they're actually people who have become your fans. So this is kind of the three parts that will get you more conversations and more relationships, okay? All right. Now, what are these three core components that take into account um, and I'm gonna ask you, what is one post or one story that you've seen recently that really stuck with you and why? Like for example, the POV, point of view types of feeds, those are very common right now. They weren't common a few months, a few years ago. Now they're super common. But all of them have some type of connection, right? So, for example, here's what I believe that most people get wrong. That is installing more connection. And you want to build the trust through storytelling or shared beliefs. Or an authority post. Here's something that I've learned that might help you. And it's giving you a tip, an insight, a myth buster, or a process. Or an invitation post. Want to see how this works? DM me yes, and I'll send it. And it moves people from like trying to lurk to really engage. So the concept is that you can post once a week or even once a month and still get DMs if the content sticks. If you're consistent and if the content is incredible, you'll be able to continue with these three core components. So for example, let's see, and you can do this, now or later, but draft one of these three types with a prompt. Like maybe what's a belief that you have that not everybody agrees with? And that's something that is primed to really engage people with what you're saying. Like for example, I see this all the time. Pineapple on pizza. People have strong beliefs about that, right? Um, and or uh do you like I don't know, some weird vegetable that people have strong beliefs about? So things like that are about connections. Obviously, you want to sell a lot of times, and we talked about this. It's more about 80% of connection and 20% of the selling of the sale part. But with these three core components, you're able to really have that first step, take that first step so that people can actually connect with you with a very low friction. Because imagine if you ask the question that people really don't want to share with you. Like, for example, what is your biggest fear, when it comes to X, Y, or Z? People sometimes don't want to share with you because it's very private stuff, right? So you want to have a connection or an authority or an invitation post. I mean, there's obviously different types of posts like the POV that I mentioned, but you want to have the connection part and build a relationship and have that in your mind when you're creating these types of social media posts. Or here's another prompt. What's one thing you've learned the hard way that others could skip? And actually use that and say, if I had 10 years of experience, I would do this first in this market. And I've seen those. They work really well because you're connecting with people and you're being empathetic to where people are at. Now, you might say, well, listen, I only have maybe a month of experience in something, or I'm not really, I see a lot of people in my market that may be, 30,000 years ahead of where I'm at right now. But listen to this, and this is important, guys. You don't need to be the doctor to the first grader. The first grader looks up to the second grader and the third grader. So you only need to be one step ahead of where your audience is at. And that's true with anything. So don't think that you don't have anything of value. Believe in yourself and be confident in yourself because you don't need to be the doctor to the first grader. That's like a million years ahead of them. To the first grader, the next step for them, it would be the second grader. And think when you were in school, we looked up to those guys, right? The next year ahead, you're like, oh my God, those are the second graders. Look at their line. It's so nice and neat. Whereas your first grade line is probably all over the place because you're so little and you're just looking at them and how quiet they are and how great they are because they've had more experience. But you only need to be one step ahead and you need to connect to create that relationship. And that's very, very important. Okay. Again, if you guys have any questions, you can send them to Dr. Valcin or to me, um, so that I could be able to answer them. Okay. Now, let's go to the next part. The email once a month and why it works. Okay. Remember, this is just an example. Let me put this over here. This is just an example. If you can email more than once a month, it's gonna be even better. But at least once a month, okay? So the question for this is, what kind of email would you actually open from someone you know or admire? And I'll give you an example. There's The Atomic Habits by James Clear. He sends an email every single Thursday. I look up to that email and I look forward to getting it because it's consistent. I know I'm gonna get it on Thursday. And it's the 3-2-1 theme that he has. So three things, then he goes into two things and then one thing. And like I know already the pattern and the template that he uses, and I look up to that. I also look up to my mentor, my copywriting mentor, who used to email every single day. And one day he stopped emailing every day. And I was like, oh my God, what happened to Lucas? Like he just disappeared, right? And out of, I think he had like 1,000 people on his list, so not even like that many. Only 4 or 5 people asked him, hey, did I miss the email for today? So it's not a lot of people, but people were expecting the email, even if they didn't um, ask, where did you go? Like, why didn't you email me today? So the reason why I bring it up is because you want that same feeling to be created with your audience. You want to be able to get people to open your email on a consistent basis so that you can provide a quality thought, something that they're going to love. So the reason why once a month works is because it's not going to be fluff. It's going to be actual stuff that they want. Again, if you can do this every day, great. If you can do this every week, awesome. But at least the bare minimum once a month. So with email, if you remember with our little um, table right here, when you have an email, is one of the most direct and easiest ways to get people to open your email. And I know what you're gonna say. I get 1,000 emails a day, and you're right. You get 1,000 emails a day, but you also on social media and you see a lot of content a day. And the people that you are following on social media, you're not really seeing their content as much as you're seeing their emails. And all of this information is really based on open rates. But what about the email that you see on your inbox? Even if you don't open it, it still keeps you top of mind because people are watching and they're seeing your name, which is what you want. So why email? Well, there's higher visibility and there's no algorithm in the way. So that allows you to be able to get more people to see your stuff. So remember, we talked about average open rates. A good open rate is about 30%, but even if you have a lower open rate with 10 or even 20%, you're still higher than social media algorithms. There's also focused attention because people read emails with more focus and less noise, because they have to focus on reading the email. It's not like a video that they're watching and they're just scrolling down. It's more like, oh my God, I got an email. Let me see what this is. And you're going to read it for 2 to 3 seconds. Whereas the other content is easier to just scroll by and not have to even finish watching the stuff that you're watching. You're binge watching and you're just going through the videos, going through the post, and with email, you have a more focused audience, let's say, where that allows you to be more direct, to explain things a little bit more. And it's great because you don't need a huge list to get responses, right? You can really be successful with emails even if you have 100 people, 300 or 1,000 people on your list. It doesn't have to be more than that. And it's quality over quantity, right? You want to get good responses from people that actually want to get your email. Think of it like your private club, right? Your VIPs. These are the people on your email list. These are the people that are going to be able to see and read your emails. Whereas social media is everybody sees it. There's no personal connection unless you actually get people to do a DM. Okay? All right. So if you thought about the kind of email that you actually want to open from somebody you know you admire, you will connect with this because you understand what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the emails that you send that you see from, stores that you opted in, like say Old Navy or, one of those big types of stores that are sending you information, right? These are emails from people that you look up to, and this is who you want to be for your audience. All right. So what do you send? Well, you can send a short story with a personal takeaway, a link to a tool, a video, or a resource that you like, a simple update about what you're working on, a testimonial or an example of someone you helped, a soft invitation to reply. You always want to have a call to action. If you train your audience to click or to reply to your emails, they're going to look for that in every single email. It can be a link to a resource. It can be a link to your blog, bringing them back to your website. It can be anything you want so that you can actually get the takeaway, and they actually do it because when you want to sell something, they're going to be looking for that link. Okay. So for example, a subject, this lesson cost me 3 weeks, but you can learn it in 3 minutes. That's great. You're going to save 3 weeks. So you want to tell a story, share the takeaway, invite them to reply or to share it. So this is just an example. Cece, did you have a question or did you want to wait until the end? No? Okay, I saw
Yeah,
somebody's hand.
no, I just see the characters are very, very small on the presentation. I don't know,
Okay, let me
maybe
see if I
to
can make it bigger.
zoom it. And second, I have my chat box disabled. I don't know if it is from Mr. Valsin or Dr. Valsin or I don't know.
No, I was about to send you a request when I saw your hand up. I was about to ask you to wait for the end since Miss Lenoff asked the questions to be put in the chat box instead of speaking them. As
Okay,
right now we're having some type of
okay,
disruption.
okay.
We usually
So,
prefer that the presenter be done
okay,
with the class prior to getting into live
okay.
questions.
So you will enable it,
Right.
therefore. Okay. Now the character is okay. It's
Yes.
okay now. It's big. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Perfect. Let me see. I
Uh,
think the last ones are big, so you should be good. Okay. All right. So, how do you build your email list, right? Because we're talking about, social media. If you remember the little pyramid that we went over right here, you start with social content, get their emails, and then have them become fans and make that connection and make that relationship. So, well, you start with your inner circle in your social media profiles, in your family, your mom, your brothers, people who want to support you. But you also want to have people who are directly interested in what you have to sell. Something that a lot of people do, when it comes to social media, a lot of times, if your friends and your family are following you, it might actually count against you because what the algorithm does is that it takes the people that are on your profile and that are followers, and they say, "Oh my God, I am John Smith is following Miri, and John Smith is interested in pets. So because he follows Miri, then we should have more John Smiths following her." But I don't post anything about pets. I mean, it's not like I don't like them. I just don't have anything of that in my profile. But the challenge is that if I have enough John Smiths in my account that follow pets, and this is just a basic example, right? Then then I'm gonna have my content be spread out more to people like John Smith. Does that make sense? So you don't want to have people that are not interested in your stuff on your social media. If you need to, start a new account and start posting things related to what you're already doing. Because the worst thing you can do is to start with an account that you build from friends from high school that are not interested in what you have to say. And that's actually going to confuse the algorithm even more since it thinks that that's something that you're interested in. So you don't want to have that. Have a completely different profile created so that you can grow from zero, even if you already have followers. Okay, it's gonna hurt the views and the reach. And the reason for that is also because once you post something, the first people who see your content are going to be your followers or your subscribers. If they like it, then the social media algorithm is going to spread it to more people. So what happens if you have people that don't want to see your content, that are not interested, that they are just following you so that you can have another follower? Well, that's going to hurt you, because then they're not going to be reached out to more people. So that's why when it comes to emails, yes, start with your friends, your peers, your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your family, your friends, everybody who you can have as in your email list. But when it comes to social media, tell them that you send them an email. Tell them to follow your personal account. Do not follow the professional account, because then that's going to hurt you in the long form, in the long way. Now, there is something that Instagram came out with, and you can actually promote your content to your non-followers first, which would solve the problem of, having your family follow you and not have your followers be interested in your stuff. So that can actually help us if you already have a lot of people following you. But I would still suggest that you don't do that, because you want to have followers that are interested in what you have to say in your content, as opposed to I don't know who was able to draw this in here. That was kind of weird. People who are actually going to see your content as valuable. Okay. All right. So we start with emailing our list. You want to send, get your people in. You want to offer valuable content, no spam. And Ekuban, I don't know why there's like marks. Okay, perfect. Valuable content, once a month at least. Do not send them things that, if you haven't sent an email and you don't know what to send, come up with something quick, but make sure that it's valuable. And there are free tools like MailerLite, that you can use. ConvertKit you might have to pay, but there are a lot of tools that are email service providers that are not like the big names like MailChimp. MailChimp is also free up to a certain amount of subscribers. ActiveCampaign you do have to pay for, which was one of the most popular ones. But there are a lot of tools out there that are free that you can use, like MailerLite. MailerLite is one for up to 1,000 subscribers is free. So if you need help choosing one, I'll put some names in the chat. Brevo is also great because it's free up until a certain amount, and it's one of the cheapest ones out there. It used to be Sending Blue, now it's called Brevo. But it doesn't have to be something complicated. Just building an email list is something that you should be doing on a daily basis, even if you add one person per day. And start with people who already know you and that trust you, maybe clients, people who buy your stuff already. And then expand gradually as you provide consistent value. The key is to make your monthly emails worth opening and reading, okay? That's really what you want to focus on. All right. Now, referrals. We mentioned referrals briefly. And I'm going to make this bigger because I don't know if you can see it. All right. So people refer you when they trust you, when they want to share you with someone else. So think about, when was the last time, you don't have to answer this is just your question for this slide. When was the last time that you recommended someone to a friend, and what made you feel confident in doing it? Maybe you recommended a product because they said, oh my God, I'm scratching my arm so much. Oh, well, I have this cream that you might want to use. Here it is. So it can be in form of products. It can be in form of people. When was the last time you recommended a doctor? And there are a lot of there are a lot of communities out there, whether it's Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups or even Telegram, where referrals is the way that people connect with, right? Because that's what they trust. They really understand that when you're referring someone, it's because it comes from a trusted source. It's not something that you saw on social. It's not something that you got an email about. It's something that people have actually used. So that's why reviews are so important, because they provides you that trust that even if if nobody next to you, like, your friends or your family, were able to recommend something, from the reviews that you actually trust them. But a lot of people don't know how to use referrals effectively, and they think that it doesn't work. Referrals is not word of mouth. Word of mouth is something different. Word of mouth is something that can be passed on. So like, for example, it can be referring, say, a doctor or something like that. But a referral is an active word of mouth system. So it's not just letting people share things, it's actually you going out of your way to use your referral partners so that they send you business or they send you somebody to, buy your product or your service. So that's the difference between word of mouth and a referral. So when you're top of mind, you don't need to be constantly asking to stay memorable. Checking in with your 10 affiliate partners or 20 affiliate partners on a monthly basis is usually enough. And you can ask them, do you have somebody who can refer me? You can refer me to. And it's about building those relationships that are going to lead naturally to referrals. Okay. Some of the things that you can do, and I know we have some people in politics as well from the previous classes. So this is something that you can use to grow your community, to grow, your, whatever you're building, because I think we had somebody last time who was actually planning on running for office. So if you know someone who needs help with whatever the case may be, feel free to send them my way. So this works really well also with politics because it also brings in people into your community. Another for a service provider, I've got space this month. Just putting that out there in case somebody comes to mind and you want to refer someone. And you can also say, I work mostly through referrals, happy to support your people too. So if this is another business owner or this is somebody who, you want to help out a lot, the law of reciprocity, right? I send you a referral, you're going to send me a referral as well. A bonus tip, you can plant these phrases in your emails and your social posts naturally. So it doesn't have to be necessarily just with talking to people one-on-one. It can also be people that you are sent wherever you're sending emails or wherever you're posting on social media. You can use those types of wording so that you can send and get people to refer you. Okay. So it's quiet but strategic. That's why it's called the quiet DM method, because you use one post that is memorable, you send one email, right? And you have different touch points, check-ins, voice notes, and soft referral asks. And this is the minimum. With sticky post, I would do probably more because with social media, the lifespan is very short. But make sure that it's super, super relevant and super valuable, okay? So if you only had 1 hour a month to stay visible, what would you prioritize doing first? Right? And are some examples. Week 1, post your sticky content, make sure that it's super valuable. Week 2, follow up with the engagers. Even if you had 1 or 2 comments, follow up with them. And you can also follow up with people who followed your competitors' content so that they see your sticky post. Week 3, send your monthly email. That one is super important. And week 4, reconnect with someone. And you can use the 10 people that I mentioned as your referrals, or 10 to 20 people so that you can actually reconnect with them every single month, see how they're doing, talk about private stuff like, oh, how's little Johnny? If you're talking to your friend who had a baby, recently. How's the baby doing? Or, how's your brother? I saw that he got married last week. Things like that are going to make you memorable. And you're going to build that relationship that is super important. Okay. So to just close this and we'll start answering questions. The quiet DM method is not about being everywhere. Please do not misunderstand me. It's about being remembered. And that's why it's called the quiet DM method, because you don't have to go viral to be successful. You don't need to be pressured to posting every single day. Focus on quality over quantity. You don't need to be shouting to be heard. Be strategic, be visible, and that's going to be more important than constant noise. And you want to leave a quiet trail of trust. You want to show up with purpose, show up with consistency, and implement the quiet DM method to build that digital presence that generates real opportunities without the burnout. Remember, the most powerful connections often happen in the quiet spaces between the posts. And don't worry, people are not always going to be telling you about the video that you talked about. Remember that a lot of times people don't pay attention to the engagement part. They pay attention to watching you. So know that even if you don't get any views on your stuff, don't worry about it. Just keep doing it. Try to be as consistent as you can so that the views will actually eventually come up. Okay.